Prairie Jaka.
One more.
And they're off. It looks like Spicy pulled out to the early lead. That's Money Making Mick, Ruffle the Road. Spicy Bullet, Supreme Alan Nixon, and Ode to Joy. As they come down the hill, that's Money Making Mick with the early lead, followed very closely by Ruffle the Road, and then comes Spicy Bullet. About 6 lengths back is Supreme Alan Nixon, and then closing on that is Ode to Joy. As they come down the hill, Ruffle the Road has now taken the lead. It's Ruffle the Road by about a neck over Money Making Mick. Spicy Bullet is making up ground in 3rd place. As they turn to the top of the straight, that's Money Making Mick and Ruffle the Road stride for stride. Spicy Bullet is moving up on those two. It's Ruffle the Road, Money Making Mick and Spicy Bullet. As they come down the stretch, that's Money Making Mick, Ruffle the Road, and Spicy Bullet is now up to challenge. It's Money Making Mick and Spicy Bullet. Money Making Mick down to the wire by a length over. Spicy Bullet and Ruffle the Road and Ode to Joy closing. Is now being made to Chris Gracie for today's second race, the large pony race, for his win on Money Making Mick. The flag is up, and they're off. That's Make It Smooth out to the early lead, followed closely by Hello Marvin. In 3rd place is Holtzman, and 4th is Classic Bound. After the first once they go, that's Make It Smooth. Hello Marvin, Holtzman, and Classic Bound. That's Make It Smooth with about a 2-length lead over Hello Marvin, followed closely by Holtzman and Classic Bound. They'll make the loop and come back down to the hill to the 3rd fence. It's Patty Miller on Make It Smooth by about 2 over Hello Marvin. Then about 2 back to Holtzman and about another 4 back to Classic Bound. They make the turn, and that's still Make It Smooth by 2. Hello Marvin on the outside. About a 3-length lead over Holtzman and another 3 back to Classic Bound. Hello Marvin has now moved up to challenge for the lead. It's Hello Marvin by about 1 over Make It Smooth. 4 back to Holtzman and another 5 back to Classic Bound. That's Hello Marvin and Make It Smooth. Holtzman and Classic Bound all well over that one. Make It Smooth has now jumped back into the lead with Hello Marvin, Holtzman, and Classic Bound. As they pass by the judges' stand, that's Make It Smooth by 1. Hello Marvin by 2 over Holtzman, back 4 back to Classic Bound. As they approach the 4th fence, that's Make It Smooth and Hello Marvin stride for stride. 3 back to Holtzman and another 2 or 3 back to Classic Bound. All horses are safely over the 4th fence. That's still Make It Smooth, Hello Marvin, Holtzman, and Classic Bound. They'll now make a loop back to this brush fence heading towards us. It's Make It Smooth by 2. Hello Marvin with a linked lead over Holtzman and 4 back to Classic Bound. Over that fence first is Make It Smooth. On the inside is Hello Marvin. On the outside is Holtzman. And a 4 back to Classic Bound. They come down to the water jump. That's Make It Smooth. Hello Marvin and Holtzman together. 5 back to Classic Bound. As they come to this fence, that's Hello Marvin, Make It Smooth, and Holtzman. Heading up the hill, that's Make It Smooth, Hello Marvin, Stride for Stride, 3 back to Holtzman and 5 back to Classic Bound. On the inside, that's Make It Smooth. On the outside, that's Hello Marvin in between horses. That's Holtzman, 5 back to Classic Bound. It looks like Holtzman has now moved to the lead. Make It Smooth in second, Hello Marvin in third. Make It Smooth is back in front now. Make It Smooth by 2 over Holtzman, 2 back to Hello Marvin and 3 back to Classic Bound. Holtzman is opening up as they come down the hill. That's Holtzman. Oh, Make It Smooth is running back. Those two are a neck apart. 3 back to Hello Marvin. As they come down the hill, that's Make It Smooth and Holtzman, stride for stride. 3 back to Hello Marvin. With 1 fence to go, the ladies are all out down the hill. That's Make It Smooth and Holtzman on top. 4 back to Hello Marvin. It looks like Holtzman with a neck advantage over Make It Smooth. As they approach the last fence, that's Make It Smooth and Holtzman, stride for stride. 3 back to Hello Marvin. Holtzman first over the last, back to Make It Smooth. And another 2 back to Hello Marvin as they come down the straight. That's Holtzman on top. Hello Marvin up to challenge in second. This is getting close. Holtzman hanging on. Here comes Hello Marvin. Hello Marvin has jumped up to take the lead. Hello Marvin by 3. Holtzman. And third is Make It Smooth. I told you he was a nice horse. Riders off, Bill. Is there somebody down here let the riders off? Barry Watson's got them turned, and they're off. That's Silver Swell out to the early lead, followed closely by Marshallton. And picking up the rear is Past the Buck. As they come to the first, that's Silver Swell and Marshallton, stride for stride. 2 back to Past the Buck. They're all over that one safely and on their way to the second fence. That's Silver Swell with Roger Horgan showing the way by about a length over Marshallton, and a 3 back to Past the Buck. All horses are safely over the second fence. Silver Swell has increased his lead to 3, followed by Marshallton, and about 5 back to Past the Buck as they head up the hill to turn and come down to the third fence. That's Silver Swell by 2. Marshallton in second, and about 3 back to Past the Buck. And as they make the turn up by the school, that's Silver Swell with Marshallton moving up on the inside. Marshallton has now taken the lead. That's Alexandra and Marshallton going to the lead with the length over Silver Swell and about 3 back to pass the buck. As they approach the third fence, that's Marshallton, Silver Swell, and past the buck. All horses are safely over the third, and as they approach the fourth, that's Marshallton by 1, Silver Swell by 1, followed by past the buck. All jumped over that nicely. That's Marshallton by 1, Silver Swell, and about 3 back to pass the buck. As they come by, the judges stand well in hand. That's Marshallton by about a half, Silver Swell in second, and past the buck. Silver Swell has now moved to the lead, and followed closely by Marshallton and past the buck. They're all tightly bunched right now. As they head to the fifth, that's Silver Swell on top, followed by Marshallton and past the buck right alongside. They'll be turning back and coming towards us now, and that's Silver Swell by 1.5 over Marshallton and 2 back to pass the buck. They're still tightly grouped. And as they come back towards us to the brush fence, that's Silver Swell, Marshallton, and past the buck. Over that first was now Marshallton, Silver Swell on the inside, and about 5 back to pass the buck. Marshallton with a lead by about 2. Over the water jump, Silver Swell nicely over and past the buck. Marshallton by about 2 over Silver Swell, and about 8 back to pass the buck. Marshallton leads over that by 2. Silver Swell in second, and about 6 back to pass the buck. As they head up the hill, that's Marshallton and Silver Swell in front, followed by past the buck. Those two jumping together over that fence. And as they head up the hill, that's Silver Swell on top. Marshallton right there, and about 8 back to pass the buck. Silver Swell and Marshallton jump nicely together over that fence. Up the hill they go. That's Silver Swell and Marshallton. They are starting to open up their lead over past the buck. As they turn the corner, that's now Silver Swell opening up by about 2 or about 10, 15 back to pass the buck. Silver Swell opening up, coming down the hill to the final fence. That's Silver Swell opening up now by 4. Marshallton trying to hold in, and some distance back to pass the buck. They're flying down the hill now. That's Silver Swell with about a 3-length lead. Marshallton making up ground as they approach the second to last. It's Silver Swell by 2. Marshallton trying to get back. It's Silver Swell with the lead as Roger Horgan approaches the last fence. Marshallton right behind him. Both of those horses over. It's Silver Swell by 1. Marshallton up to challenge. It's Silver Swell by a length and a half. Marshallton trying to get up. It's Silver Swell by 1 with Marshallton coming in. It's going to be Silver Swell. Silver Swell by 2 over Marshallton. Horses have turned, and they're off. That's Cloud of Dust out to the early lead, and actually Meadowmere hanging right with them. Those two are going down to the first fence up sides. Now it's Cloud of Dust taking the early lead. Cloud of Dust and Meadowmere over the first fence. Cloud of Dust with a lead by 2 over Meadowmere. As they approach the second fence, it remains pretty much that same way. Cloud of Dust over Meadowmere in behind. Cloud of Dust by 3 over Meadowmere as they head up the hill at a leisurely clip. And as they make the far turn, that's still Cloud of Dust by 2 over Meadowmere, heading down into the third fence. Still what we would call a leisurely pace. That's Cloud of Dust in the lead over Meadowmere. Over the third fence, both horses safely over. Cloud of Dust has now extended the lead to about 3, but Meadowmere is catching back up as they approach the fourth fence. That's Cloud of Dust by 1 over Meadowmere. As they approach the judges' stand, Cloud of Dust holds a 1-length lead over Meadowmere. Brian Carell and Roger Horgan satisfied with this clip for the time being. That's Cloud of Dust by 1 over Meadowmere. As they head down to the fifth fence, that's Brian Carell on Cloud of Dust, followed closely by Roger Horgan and Meadowmere. Both horses safely over that fence. It would appear to me that Roger doesn't want his horse to see any daylight. Oh. And as they turn and come back towards the crowd, that is Cloud of Dust with a 2-length advantage over Meadowmere. Heading towards the sixth fence, the big brush fence, that's Cloud of Dust on top by 2, Meadowmere moving up. Cloud of Dust over with a length advantage, Meadowmere on the outside. As they come down to the water fence, that's Cloud of Dust with a 1-length advantage over Meadowmere. Meadowmere now moving up, both horses jumping about the same time there. Meadowmere has now jumped up to challenge. Cloud of Dust is not taken back, and those two are racing down to this fence. Oh! Cloud of Dust is in the lead. Meadowmere has lost rider. Cloud of Dust safely over that fence. Rider Roger Horgan is up and okay. Cloud of Dust up and over that fence. Uh-oh. I'm not really sure what just happened.
I don't know what happened. There's the flag. There's a flag there behind that brush fence. Yeah.
Now over the next fence, Cloud of Dust.
I hope that gate's not open.
With 1 fence to go, that's Cloud of Dust. looks like he's letting the horse gallop on a little bit. And now approaching the last fence, Brian Carell and Cloud of Dust. They're up and over that fence.
He doesn't know he's not back here.
And that's Cloud of Dust to the wire. They're turning to the starter, and they're off. That's Bud B out to the early lead, followed closely by George, then Nordica and Jack B. Nimbic. They're off to a quick start. That is Bud B out on top, followed closely by George. In third place is Jack B. Nimble, and fourth is Bud B. These horses are really rolling along in this heat. That's Bud B on top by 4. George in second, about 4 back to Nordica, and closely followed there by Jack B. Nimble. That's Bud B continuing to open his lead. That's Bud B by some, oh, George has closed the gap a little bit. That's Bud B by 2 over George. Those two are really moving along. They've opened up about 8 over Nordica and another 3 back to Jack B. Nimble as they come down to the third fence. That's Bud B on top by 2, followed by George. Those two went over that fence heads apart. Coming down to the fourth fence, that's George and Bud B. Those two are flying. They've opened up about 8 on Nordica and a 4 back to Jack B. Nimble. It's George and Bud B down past the judges' stand. Those two heads apart. 8 back to Nordica and another 4 to Jack B. Nimble. As they approach the 5th fence, that's George and Bud B on top, Nordica in third, and Jack B. Nimble bringing up the rear. Heading down to the 5th fence, that's George and Bud B. Both of those horses safely over that fence, followed by Nordica and Jack B. Nimble. All horses are over. It's still George and Bud B out on top. That's George now by about 2 over Bud B. Another 8 back to Jack B. Nimble and another 2 back to Nordica. As they turn and head down into the big brush fence, that's George on the outside and Bud B on the inside. Those two heads apart for the lead. 8 back to Nordica and Jack B. Nimble. And over that next fence, that was George on top. Now moving up into contention is Nordica. All these horses have bunched up now. That's George in front, Nordica, and Bud B. George on top by a half. Nordica in second, Bud B in third, and right there closing up is Jack B. Nimble. All those horses over that fence. Nordica on top now by about a half a length over Jack B. Nimble, about a half a length back to Bud B, and another length back to George. On top is Nordica as they head up the hill. That's Nordica, Jack B. Nimble, and Bud B, followed by George. These 4 horses are only lengths apart. On the inside, that's Bud B. On the outside, that's Nordica. Closing the gap some there are both George and Jack B. Nimble. As they turn for the next fence, it looks like it's Bud B with about a half-length lead over Nordica, with about a length lead over George, and then another length lead back to Jack B. Nimble. Bud B and Nordica heads up. George is in third, and Bud B is in third, and George is in second. As they come down the hill, that's Nordica on top by 15 lengths back to George, and another 8 back to Bud B. The rider is up. And as they come down to the last fence, that's Nordica continuing to open up. He's got some 10 lengths over George and another 15 back to Bud B. Buzzy appears to have Nordica in hand as they're safely over that last fence. George now up and over. And Bud B is now over the last fence. To the wire, that's going to be Nordica by some 15 lengths over George and another 15 back to Bud B. Buzz had him on it. Nordica at the wire. And George.
Okay, wide angle lens is right. We need that.
Horses are now turning. And I'm not sure. They are, I assume, off. That's Proud Dog out to the early lead, followed by Neruda, 36 Ways, Flashy Splashes, Viking Reunion, Swickleyville, and Slews Come A-Runnin'. It's still Proud Dog in front, followed closely there by Neruda. On the inside, Slews Come A-Runnin'. Then back to Viking Reunion, Swickleyville, 36 Ways, and Flashy Splasher. As they come to the judges' stand the first time, that's Slews Come A-Runnin', Neruda, and Proud Dog across the track. It's actually Proud Dog by 1, Neruda, Slews Come A-Runnin', Viking Reunion, Swickleyville, 36 Ways, and Flashy Splasher. On top is still the good timber horse, Proud Dog. Proud Dog showing the way by 2 now. Neruda in second. Sloughs come a running right alongside Sewickleyville, then back to Viking Reunion, and about 3 back to 36 Ways, and that's Flashy Splasher bringing up the field. As they head up the hill, that's still Proud Dog on top by making a length over. Sloughs come a running. Neruda, 36 Ways. Viking Reunion. Sloughs come a running, then Viking Reunion, 36 Ways, and it's a little ways back to Flashy Splasher. Down the hill they come in much the same order. That's Proud Dog showing the way by 1. Neruda moving up a little bit closer in second. 2 back to Sewickleyville. Right alongside is Sloughs come a running, and about 4 back to Viking Reunion. Another 2 back to 36 Ways, and about 15 now back to Flashy Splasher. Is this the finish? And as they come to the top of the straight, that's Proud Dog showing the way. Neruda trying to get there, in third is Sewickleyville, but it's still Proud Dog in hand. Proud Dog showing the way to the wire. He's got about a length advantage over Neruda. It's going to be Proud Dog at the wire by a half. Neruda, Sewickleyville, 36 Ways. Sloughs come a running. Viking Reunion.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
Look like a photographer. Yes, no glasses.
Turning, and they're off. Out to their early lead, that's Convita. Followed closely by Bob by Golly. Then come Maiden Magua, Class Eminence, Pleasant Discovery. And I think that's actually Convita charging to the front on the outside. That's Convita to the early lead. Followed by Pleasant Discovery, Bob by Golly. Mercedes Flyer, Class Eminence. Under the wire, that's Convita, Pleasant Discovery, Major Magua. Class Eminence, Bob by Golly, and Mercedes Flyer. Still out on top by some 15 lengths, making 20, that's Convita. Followed by Pleasant Discovery, then Class Eminence, Major Magua, Bob by Golly, and Mercedes Flyer. Convita still with a commanding lead. In second is Class Eminence, followed by Pleasant Discovery, then Major Magua, Mercedes Flyer, and Bob by Golly. It's still Convita, but they appear to be closing some ground. It's Convita now by about 4 over Class Eminence, another 4 back to Pleasant Discovery, 2. Mappa, fourth, Mercedes Flyer, Bob by Dolly.
One more. Ears up.